Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Sibwaga TV, which is your number one online political channel. And today we want actually to have a candid discussion about the political fight, which is actually between Rigathi Gachagua and Fred Okengo Matiang'I for the votes in Mount Kenya. Because of late, it looks like these two political leaders, they have started hitting at each other. And because of that kind of political enmity, this might actually break the Wamnyoro group or the opposition side. Because, as you know, the opposition side have always been saying that they are in harmony and their only objective is actually to make William Samoei Arap Ruto to be a one-term president. And they know very well that for them to make that dream to be true, then there is no any other way, but they must stay united. But it looks because these political leaders in the opposition, they have started having different interests. And that is why there is that political fight between Rigathi Gachagua and Fred Okengo Matiang'I. So that is actually the topic I want to break down for you so that you can know why is that enmity politically growing up and why will it make these two political leaders not to see eye to eye, and it will eventually break the opposition side. So before we dive in and try to dissect all that, I could request you kindly to take a minute and you subscribe to this YouTube channel. And remember, once you subscribe, it is actually free. And once you subscribe and also you hit the notification bell, then YouTube will always be notifying you so that you can watch our political content whenever we actually upload it into YouTube. And I could also like to thank those who have been watching our videos and they have actually subscribed to this YouTube channel, because they always give us the inspiration to continue coming up with this kind of political analysis. Now, let us go back to the discussion of the day. Why there is a political fight between Rigathi Gachagua and Fred Okengo Matiang'I. If you can remember, since the time Fred Okengo Matiang'I actually announced to the nation that he is going to fight for presidency of this nation, and then he joined the Wamnyoro group, where it has been seen that Rigathi Gachagua is the big boy in that Wamnyoro group, and Rigathi Gachagua is actually the kingpin of Mount Kenya. And Rigathi Gachagua has actually tried to advise other political leaders that because he is the kingpin of Mount Kenya, they should also go back to their regions and try to consolidate people, to make people follow them. And then they can use that tribal kind of lines. Then they can come together and form what we call a coalition. But it looks like Fred Okengo Matiang'I is not buying that, because Fred Okengo Matiang'I wants to represent himself as a national leader other than representing himself as a regional leader or as a tribal leader. And because these two leaders are looking politics differently, that is why they have started actually hitting each other politically. They have started showing cracks between them politically. And it looks like if this will continue, then definitely the opposition side is going to divide, probably into 2 or 3. Because if you look at Wamnyoro group, you will find we have Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka, Rigathi Gachagua, and also we have Fred Okengo Matiang'I. But the fight between Fred Okengo Matiang'I and Rigathi Gachagua, it has actually come to the limelight. And why do you think this is coming to the limelight? Because Rigathi Gachagua feels that being the leader of Mount Kenya, any leader who is going to do any political campaign in Mount Kenya, it is him who should introduce that leader to the people. But Fred Okengo Matiang'I wants actually to reach the people without passing through Rigathi Gachagua, because his main objective is actually to represent himself as a Kenyan, as a unifying factor. And Fred Okengo Matiang'I doesn't want to look like being a tribal chief or a tribal person or being tribalistic in nature. But because already Rigathi Gachagua has represented himself to the nation as the kingpin of Mount Kenya, and he has also come up with a party called DCP, which he feels that it is the party of Mount Kenya, and it is the party which is going to represent the people of Mount Kenya. And he feels that that party should be the party which should have all those political leaders who are going to use DCP as a vehicle for their what? For their campaign and for their being elected, probably as members of parliament, in the Senate and in the National Assembly, as MCAs and as governors. So Rigathi Gachagua doesn't want any political party actually to venture into Mount Kenya and actually produce leaders who are going to compete with his political party, DCP. But Fred Okengo Matiang'I has chosen that he is going to use probably the party we call Jubilee, which is actually being led by Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta, so that he can stop at the presidency. And he has also said that he also wants to have a memorandum of understanding with other political parties within the Mount Kenya, like PNU, Because you saw what happened in Meru when Fred Okengo Matiang'I went there purposely to have a memorandum of understanding with PNU. And Rigathi Gachagua was not happy at all with that folding because he believes that still Meru is within Mount Kenya and nobody should introduce Fred Okengo Matiang'I to the people, but he should actually introduce Fred Okengo Matiang'I to the people. But Fred Okengo Matiang'I doesn't want that. He actually wants to go to the grassroots. He wanted to use those parties which have agreed that they are going to support his bid for presidency. And Rigathi Gachagua feels that if that happens, then his kingship within Mount Kenya is going to lose its importance. Because as you know, if Fred Okengo Matiang'I is going to be supported by Jubilee, by PNU, and by other parties which actually comes from Mount Kenya, it means that people are going to use those other political parties to look for elective posts within Mount Kenya. And that will bring a lot of competition with the DCP. And henceforth, it is going to make Rigathi Gachagua influence in Mount Kenya to be reduced. And that is why we have this, what we call political fight between these two political leaders. And that is why other leaders allied to Rigathi Gachagua, they have even called Fred Okengo Matiang'I to be a government project. That means they are trying to block Fred Okengo Matiang'I from actually venturing into Mount Kenya politics. And if this political enmity continues between these two political leaders, then it means that opposition side is actually going to divide into two. We will be having a political side, the opposition side, which is being led by Rigathi Gachagua. And also we will have another opposition, which will be actually be led by Fred Okengo Matiang'I. And if that happens, then there is a very high chance that it will be very easy for President William Samoei Arap Ruto to win his second re-election. And their dream from the side of opposition of unseating William Samoei Arap Ruto actually cannot come to full realization. And that is why Eugene Wamalwa has actually said it very clearly that if the opposition side will not shun their political fight, their differences, so that they can work together, then they are not going to win presidency late come 2027. That William Samoei Arap Ruto is going to show them political dust. But do you think these political differences between Rigathi Gachagua and Fred Okengo Matiang'I is going to stop? Because I've tried to look at the opposition and I have come to a conclusion that Rigathi Gachagua will be on the ballot late come 2027, but not to win for presidency, but to make his party to have a political influence. That means his party will have very many political seats. For example, it will have the entire Mount Kenya political seats being taken by DCP. Probably all MCAs will come from DCP, or members of parliament from DCP, governors from DCP, and senators from DCP. And then probably Rigathi Gachagua will use that to negotiate with the government of the day. Because if Rigathi Gachagua will not actually go to the ballot, then it means that his political influence is going to go down. And that is why the leaders who are supporting Rigathi Gachagua, they have told Rigathi Gachagua that he must go to the ballot because he is the one who has more numbers, because he comes from a region which is rich with voters. But I also feel that if Fred Matiang'I will be supported by those other political parties within the Mount Kenya, like the PNU, like the Jubilee, and the influence of the former president Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta, who is the leader of Jubilee, then Rigathi Gachagua is going to be in big trouble. Because, as you know, people don't actually like Rigathi Gachagua, even people in Mount Kenya, because you will find the majority, they still feel that the person who can unseat President William Samoei Arap Ruto is Fred Matiang'I. And they feel that if Fred Matiang'I will take the presidency of this nation, then he will change the kind of politics we are experiencing. He will make sure that the economy of this nation, the politics of this nation, actually will make the Kenyans to gain, because it will change drastically from what we are experiencing right now. So that kind of political fight between Rigathi Gachagua is actually going to break the opposition side. And for me, I can tell people that 2027, there is a very high likelihood that Rigathi will be on the ballot, Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka will be on the ballot, and Fred Matiang'I will be on the ballot. And that will make it very, very easy for William Samoei Arap Ruto to win, probably in round 1. I really don't know what is your take about all of this issue, about the fight between Fred Matiang'I and Rigathi Gachagua for Mount Kenya politics. Do you think that Fred Matiang'I should actually embrace the tribal politics that Rigathi is trying to introduce him to, so that he can be a kingpin of the Gusii nation and have a tribal party like the one which Rigathi Gachagua is having, DCP? Or should Fred Matiang'I continue to represent himself as a national leader, as a person who is going to unify this nation despite of our tribal inclination. Please, I would like to see your comment in the comment section below. And if this is your first time to bump into this YouTube channel, I request you kindly take a minute and subscribe to this YouTube channel. Give this video a like, share the video to your friends, and also smash the bell button, because by doing that, you will give YouTube permission so that you can get notified at any time we upload any political content into YouTube. And with that, I say thank you. May God bless you all abundantly until we meet in our next political discussion. Goodbye.